getting up at 5 a.m., going there to 4, and then the next day being there from noon to 11, midnight, and then not having weekends off. Your schedule is just kind of all over the place.
Is he gonna pull off the clutch this time?
It's so very close, Achieved, up close and personal, and oh, creators! He's just scared, folks, and why wouldn't you be? Achieved with 20 kills!
We might need Calla to go crazy again here, but Achieved might do it instead. He gets the double for himself, now make it 3!
Oh my God, the gun is live. You can't believe that worked, but it did. It's gonna be from a long range, and Achieved gets them both!
I'm Matthew Achieved Solomon. I am a professional Rainbow Six player for TSM. I am 24 and I'm from Winter Haven, Florida.
Matthew, growing up as a kid, was very competitive in everything that he did, especially with his big brother.
I would say I was a pretty active child. I played baseball a lot. I'd be running down the street with friends and stuff like that. I was a bit of a troublemaker, you could say, especially in middle school. I was probably like the class clown.
Well, he was, I guess, the middle child, but I wouldn't say he was a handful, but he was aggressive in a lot of ways, but good kid.
He did like to play baseball. He played baseball up until, oh goodness, he was probably in high school when he finally quit. And then he's always been heavy into playing the games. And so he just kind of pursued his interest more in that.
We would get on him quite a bit and say, Matthew, get off the computer, let's go outside. Let's go outside, you know, once you go outside. But I guess in the long run, it worked out good for him playing on the computer. And I never really thought about much about what he was going to do because he played on the computer all the time. And he got very, very good at that. And we kind of talked from time to time about things, but once he got into the computers and he got into the gaming pretty good, it just took off from there. So he found his niche.
Growing up like through middle school and stuff especially, my grades were lacking definitely. I was like a C student then, so yeah, you know, the parents weren't very happy about that, especially with me playing games during that time. So I was only allowed on the games on the weekends for pretty much all of my middle school. And then eventually when I moved on into high school, I stopped playing baseball to focus more on my grades. And then naturally came with that, I started playing games more and stuff because I was inside a lot more.
Matthew took a lot of interest playing video games like really early on. I mean, I used to buy the Xboxes and the PlayStations, and so I always tried to make sure that they had the new games, you know, the Call of Duties and all the games, and so he's always had a passion for playing the games. I will tell you, it had its frustrating moments. He was 100% focused on that, sometimes taking the trash out or doing little chores around the house, mowing the grass. Was a little bit of a challenge to try to get him to do. And you know, I tried to kind of keep him kind of grounded and say, hey, you know, I'm grateful that you're doing this. I got a passion for it for you, but you still have to, like, you have other responsibilities. And that was probably the biggest struggle is trying to say that there's other things that need to be taken care of as well.
I think the biggest life challenge was just when my parents got divorced. Obviously, a lot of people have gone through similar situations, so I know a lot of people out there can relate. Yeah, I mean, that was just hard, you know. I think I was in like the 5th grade, so I was like 11 or 12. So obviously not an easy thing to go through when you're a kid. But you know, it's happened to a lot of people. But we all end up, you know, making it through it. The toughest thing is just, you know, because you got to divide your time now between parents and stuff and stuff like that. So I'd say that was the toughest part.
One thing that I did do for Matthew is that I had told him that, you know, once he graduated high school, that he was going to have to take 2 classes at the state college, or, you know, and again, that was me trying to kind of keep him grounded, but not totally, you know, remove gaming. And so, and I did tell him, I said, if you do not take 2 classes, I'm probably going to have to charge you rent. And so he came to me after he got heavy into it, and he said, Mom, you know, I really would like to take this term off and really give it a go to be a professional gamer. And he said, so, you know, what are you going to charge me for rent? And I said, honey, I'm really not going to charge you rent. So again, I mean, I wanted to try to keep him kind of a little bit grounded, but not kind of keep him from doing what he loved. And I knew that he had a passion for the gaming, and so I was very supportive of it.
You know, back when they grew up, this wasn't around, you know, like gaming and it being a job. So at first, you know, it was something new to them. They didn't believe it. They were like, you ain't making money gaming, dude. You know, like go to college, you know, go work and stuff. So, but you know, having a backup plan like that's always good. And that's what my mom and my dad really wanted me to do, was have a backup plan just in case it falls short. So I think that was really good though. For me, switching from controller to mouse and keyboard, I mean, I still feel like to this day, I'm still building like muscle memory, you know? Since I started on console, like even to this day, like I'm probably like 4 years in at this point. But I'd say it was really rough for the first like year. You know, it was just like a lot, and it's like, where do you start, you know? Because you came from Xbox, it's so much simpler. How I got into Siege was I played on console, and then, you know, just some random guy in one of my ranked games was like, hey, you know, you want to come and try out for this team, you know? We're going to try to go through the qualifiers and make Pro League. And I was like, yeah, you know what, sure, I'll give it a shot, you know, because I'm a very competitive person. I'll give it a shot. And the first time I played it, I absolutely hated it. I hated it. He had to message me like for days in a row, telling me, yo, man, like, you know, that's, you know, it's usually a lot better than that. You know, that day was like really not fun, you know, because it just wasn't a fun day. You should give it another shot, stuff like that. So eventually I ended up giving it another shot, and then I liked it.
That's the Pulse of C4, and now no more denial from below. It'll have to be the UMP that does the work. Geo will go for a plant, but there's the UMP. As you speak of it, it shall appear. Chief, now the last attacker, and he's got a clash to deal with. The information being relayed here by the clash is huge. He might be able to get the clash with the nade. It might happen. There it is, the down. Beautiful play from Achieved. He gets his 3rd kill. Now in a 1 versus Rampy. Achieved does not have a lot of options, and he doesn't know where his opponent is pushing up from. This is all Rampy all the time. Achieved is going to try and stick the plant, and he'll get it down. In post-plant, he flips up, sees his opponent, lands the shot! Incredible! Achieved in the 1v1. Really a 1v2.
Great to potentially swing on to Achieved. He'll have to be careful though, because he's not exactly in fighting shape, but he's allowed to swing out. The support from his teammates gone, and what's this? Achieved allowed to run out. He's got a Nitro cell as well! Oh my god, Achieved!
What in the hell was that from Achieved? He's a one-man army. He's a one-man Mozzie. Nitro cell to close it out.
My biggest concern is just the fate of the future, if you will. You know, I mean, is it something that he can sustain it, and you know, will it, you know, be there for him, or I'm sure there's other avenues and things to go, but my biggest concern is, I guess, the uncertainty, if you will, that you know, about the whole gaming and the industry and all. I'm sure it's here to stay, but it just I don't know. I'm the old-fashioned, you know, put your hands on something, you know it's there, you can, you know, see it and feel it type of thing. So I just hope it stays in there with him.
You know, I worry. I mean, it's like any other sport. You know, you have your prime as far as age-wise, and as far as future. I think that he will still be doing something very meaningful in the esports.
It was pretty exciting. Obviously, you know, from playing League back in the day in 2015, 2014, getting the TSM logo, you know, I didn't ever think we'd be a part of TSM. So, I mean, it was definitely like an unreal feeling. Still to this day, I mean, it's kind of hard to believe, but I mean, we've been a part of TSM now for like almost 3 years now. So, yeah, it's pretty unreal.
I do know that in this world of gaming that there's only small amount of people that actually make a living out of it. And so I try to want to kind of keep in balance still and say, hey, basically, I'm happy you're pursuing that, but don't quit your day job, so to speak. And so, but I never imagined that he would get to the level that he's at.
Yeah, so the one part that pushed me to go pro, I guess, especially when I was working my way up and I, you know, discovered that it was a thing and you could, you know, do it for a living, was Publix. Right when I turned 16, I ended up getting a job at Publix, and I pretty much did it all there. I was a bagger, was a cashier. I ended up going behind the front desk. They wanted me to move my way up and become a manager, and I did not like it. You know, I don't like going in at 5 a.m. some days, 5 to 4, and then, you know, the next day having to be there from noon to midnight. I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life.
He needs to shoot for the stars, and where there's a will, there's a way, and I don't want him to lose sight of that. I want him to realize that if he works hard, you know, the opportunities are there. I think he's very passionate about it. I can see it, you know, in the gaming. I can see it on the stage when I'm watching him. He's just very passionate, and I would not want him to lose sight that to try and just shoot for the stars, and that everything is possible.
He can achieve whatever he puts his mind and sets his goals on, I'm sure of it. And that I'm always proud of him. And I love him.